The year is 1914. Imagine the bustling streets of Sarajevo, the sun shining on a seemingly ordinary day. But this day was anything but ordinary. A young man, a Serbian nationalist named Gavrilo Princip, lay in wait. His target, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne. A shot rang out, echoing through the ages. The Archduke and his wife lay dead. This single act of violence, unthinkable in its consequences, would ignite the powder keg of Europe. World War I, the Great War, had begun. What started as a seemingly regional conflict, a dispute between Austria-Hungary and Serbia, would soon engulf the entire continent and beyond. The world would never be the same. This assassination was not just a political murder, it was a spark that ignited a powder keg. Europe in 1914 was a tinderbox of nationalism, imperial rivalry, and military buildup. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand provided the spark. In the intricate world of early 20th century diplomacy, Europe resembled a giant chessboard, with each nation making its moves and countermoves. A complex system of alliances had emerged, ostensibly to maintain peace but ultimately serving to escalate tensions. Austria-Hungary, outraged by the assassination, issued an ultimatum to Serbia, one that was deliberately designed to be rejected. When Serbia refused to comply with all of the demands, Austria-Hungary declared war. The intricate web of alliances, years in the making, began to unravel with terrifying speed. Germany, bound by treaty to Austria-Hungary, mobilized its army. Russia, feeling obligated to defend Serbia, did the same. France, allied with Russia, and Britain, with its empire at stake, soon followed suit. Within weeks, the major powers of Europe were at war, their citizens caught in a whirlwind of events they could scarcely comprehend. On one side stood the Central Powers Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. On the other side stood the Allied powers, Great Britain, France, Russia, and eventually many others, including Italy and Japan. The Western Front, a 400-mile scar stretching across France and Belgium, became the epicenter of the war's brutality. Here, millions of soldiers found themselves locked in a deadly stalemate, facing an enemy they could barely see across a desolate no-man's land. The trenches, muddy, rat-infested ditches, offered little protection from the relentless artillery bombardments and machine gun fire. Life in the trenches was a waking nightmare. Imagine the deafening roar of artillery shells, the constant fear of snipers, the ever-present stench of death and decay. Soldiers on both sides endured unimaginable horrors, their physical and mental health pushed to the breaking point. New technologies of war like machine guns, poison gas, tanks, and airplanes only amplified the death toll, turning the battlefield into a mechanized abattoir. The stalemate on the Western Front would continue for years, claiming millions of lives in a series of futile offensives. Verdun, the Somme, Passchendaele, these names would forever be etched in history as symbols of the war's senseless brutality. Section 4. A world engulfed. While the Western Front raged, the conflict spread far beyond Europe, engulfing the globe in its deadly embrace. The war at sea, characterized by submarine warfare and naval blockades, disrupted global trade and brought the horrors of war to civilian populations. In Africa, Asia, and the Middle East, colonial troops found themselves drawn into their European overlords' conflicts, fighting in battles far from home. The Ottoman Empire, the sick man of Europe, joined the Central Powers, adding a new dimension to the conflict. The Gallipoli campaign, a disastrous attempt by the Allies to capture Constantinople, resulted in heavy casualties on both sides. In the Middle East, T.E. Lawrence, the legendary Lawrence of Arabia, helped incite Arab rebellion against Ottoman rule. From the plains of Europe to the deserts of Arabia, the war touched every corner of the globe. It was a truly global conflict, a testament to the interconnectedness of the modern world and the devastating consequences of unchecked nationalism and imperial ambition. Section 5. The Sleeping Giant Awakens. For the first 3 years of the war, the United States remained neutral, watching the carnage in Europe with a mixture of horror and apprehension. However, events would soon conspire to draw the sleeping giant into the conflagration. Germany's unrestricted submarine warfare, which targeted neutral shipping, including American vessels, inflamed public opinion in the United States. The sinking of the Lusitania, a British passenger liner carrying American citizens in 1915, further fueled anti-German sentiment. Then in 1917, the infamous Zimmermann telegram, a secret diplomatic cable intercepted by British intelligence, revealed a German plot to entice Mexico into an alliance against the United States. This revelation, coupled with continued attacks on American shipping, proved to be the final straw. In April 1917, President Woodrow Wilson, who had campaigned on a platform of neutrality, reluctantly asked Congress to declare war on Germany. The United States entered the war on the side of the Allies, tipping the balance of power and ultimately ensuring the Central Powers' defeat. Section 6. The Armistice and its Uncertain Aftermath. By 1918, after more than 4 years of unimaginable bloodshed, the tide of war had turned. The Central Powers, exhausted and facing mounting internal pressures, began to crumble. On November 11, 1918, Germany, its army in tatters, signed the armistice, silencing the guns on the Western Front. The Great War, the war to end all wars, was finally over. The world breathed a collective sigh of relief, but the cost of victory was staggering. Millions lay dead, entire cities reduced to rubble. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended the war but sowed the seeds of future conflict. The treaty, which blamed Germany for the war and imposed harsh reparations on the defeated nation, left Germany humiliated and economically crippled. It also redrew the map of Europe, creating new nations and exacerbating existing tensions. The seeds of resentment and instability sown by the treaty would eventually bear bitter fruit in the form of another world war, just 2 decades later. Section 7. Scars on the World. The First World War was a watershed moment in human history, a conflict so devastating that it shattered the old world order and ushered in an age of uncertainty and disillusionment. The war's legacy would be felt for generations, shaping the political, social, and cultural landscape of the 20th century and beyond. The war's impact extended far beyond the battlefield. It led to the collapse of empires, the rise of totalitarian regimes, and a profound sense of disillusionment with traditional values and institutions. It also accelerated technological innovation, leading to advances in aviation, medicine, and communication. The First World War, the Great War, was a tragedy of epic proportions, a stark reminder of the human capacity for both good and evil. It is a conflict that we must never forget, lest we repeat the mistakes of the past. The war stands as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, but also as a solemn warning about the enduring costs of conflict and the importance of peace.